This video was designed to introduce you to the DBT skill, Mindfulness of Thoughts. My name is Brian Rankin, a doctoral student from the California School of Professional Psychology in San Diego, California. Today we're going to discuss how to notice, pay attention to, and accept thoughts without judgment. Thoughts are not bad or good, positive or negative. They just are what they are, the thoughts that you happen to be having at this particular moment. When we allow the mind, we simply let thoughts come and go, noticing them as they come and go, but not trying to control or change them. Mindfulness of current thoughts is observing thoughts, as neural firing of the brain or sensations of the brain, rather than as facts about the world, so that observing thoughts becomes similar to observing any other behavior. So what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is widely known in today's society, and it is important to address what mindfulness is and what it isn't. It focuses on acceptance and awareness of moment-to-moment experience without judgment. It involves paying attention in the moment, non-judgmentally, and without attachment. Mindfulness increases awareness of our responses to internal and external events, allows us to respond instead of react, separates facts from our internal experiences, allows us to detach or reduce reactivity to internal events. Components involved in mindfulness are observing our direct experience of the present moment, describing our direct experiences, separating our experiences of the external world from our internal reactions to those experiences, refocusing our attention when we notice it wander, and throwing ourselves into the present moment, going with the flow, and acting intuitively. Some common misconceptions that are often seen and believed regarding mindfulness are that mindfulness brings about relaxation, induces a calm state, and requires sustained attention. As we continue, you will become more familiar and aware of mindfulness practices with your thoughts. Since mindfulness is a form of distress tolerance, it is important that we take some time to understand the distress tolerance model in dialectical behavioral therapy. Distress tolerance emphasizes learning to skillfully tolerate and manage short-term and long-term pain, both physical and emotional. The goals of distress tolerance are: move the body toward values while carrying any discomforts lightly, survive emotional and crisis situations without making them worse, become free of having to satisfy the demands of an unhealthy urge that arises, let go of realities that you cannot control. Instead, replace suffering and being stuck with the ordinary pain and the possibility of moving forward. So, what is mindfulness of current thoughts? It is noticing and radically accepting thoughts, and radically accepting them for what they are, sensations of the brain that come and go. The focus here is on thoughts that simply come into our minds. When these thoughts are negative or worry thoughts, we often either react to them immediately or grab hold of them and can't let go. It is changing our relationships to our thoughts. Observing thoughts is about changing our relationship to our thoughts, rather than on changing the thoughts themselves. Painful and distressing thoughts, both accurate and inaccurate, go through everyone's mind at some point. The task is to find a new way of relating to negative or painful thoughts so that they do not create so much suffering. Observing thoughts means observing not only thoughts, but also beliefs, assumptions, interpretations, internal descriptions and labels, and any other cognitive concepts. The goal is not a mind empty of thoughts. Both secular and spiritual mindfulness practices have as an important part of their instruction simply noticing thoughts as they come and go while practicing mindfulness. Everyone, when learning to meditate or be mindful of the present moment, becomes distracted by thoughts at times. Many people erroneously believe that when practicing mindfulness, they should suppress their thoughts. They believe that the goal of mindfulness practice is to have an empty mind, a mind with no thoughts. Nothing could be further from the truth. Human brains generate thoughts, beliefs, assumptions, and concepts of all sorts. The idea in mindfulness is to notice thoughts, while neither becoming attached to them nor pushing them away. Just see them for what they are, thoughts. Now, learning to let go of thoughts is extremely difficult. It takes a lot of practice. Letting go of thoughts is not the same as pushing them away. Trying to suppress painful thoughts usually makes them worse. Instead, it is allowing them to be as they are, coming and going. So why observe thoughts? Research shows that trying to block or suppress thoughts actually makes them worse. One of the effective treatments for excessive worries and ruminations has individuals set aside a specific period each day to take time out and focus completely on worry thoughts. Unnecessary suffering and reactive problem behaviors are often caused by thoughts. We react to thoughts instead of the facts they are meant to represent. Mindfulness of current thoughts observes but does not change the thoughts. Observing thoughts provides distance from them. Observing your thoughts helps you separate yourself from your thoughts. It makes it easier for you to figure out what is a thought, what is a fact, and what is your emotional reaction to a thought. Distance also allows you to discover that you are not your thoughts. You are not defined by your thoughts or by others' thoughts about you. Many people cannot separate themselves from their thoughts. They become their thoughts. Thoughts often masquerade as facts. We respond to our thoughts as if they are facts about ourselves, others, or the world. The problem here, inevitably, is that people have great difficulty accepting that a thought is just a thought. Most of us are attached to the belief that our thoughts represent facts about reality, or we are attached to the idea that meaning and concepts are important, more important than the facts of what is. Observing thoughts reveals them for what they are. Observing thoughts helps you to see that thoughts are just thoughts. That is, they are sensations in the mind, coming and going. All thoughts are temporary, just as all sensations are temporary. A thought might come back to mind often, but it is still temporary. It comes and goes away, just like the incoming and outgoing wave tide on the shore at the beach. Reacting to a thought as if it is fact obscures seeing what is. Asking why, which is more of an intellectual question, is usually not helpful. Life is often like mountain climbing. If you are climbing high on a mountain and you come across a crevasse, you need to know how to get across it, not why the crevasse is there. Observing thoughts shows that they are not so catastrophic. Observing thoughts and maintaining your attention on them instead of avoiding them or trying to get rid of them can help you become less reactive to thoughts. Although events in life can be catastrophic, thoughts about these events are not themselves catastrophic. Observing thoughts is the path to freedom. Over time and with practice, you will gradually feel more and more free, less controlled by your thoughts about the world. Letting go of trying to control thoughts or trying to get rid of them is a path to freedom. Many people believe that they should have control over their thoughts at all times. When you believe this, it is easy to become controlled by your thoughts. You lose your freedom to think as you do. Other people believe that they simply cannot bear painful experiences. They think that they will fall into the abyss or they will die if they do not control their thoughts and what they believe. This is the road to losing freedom. Wisdom and freedom require the ability to allow the natural flow of thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions to come and go. They require experiencing thoughts, but not being controlled by them. We are controlled by thoughts when we always have to act on them, or always have to prevent or suppress them. So how can you be mindful of current thoughts? Start by observing your thoughts. The first step is to observe your thoughts, beliefs, assumptions, interpretations, and internal descriptions or labels. Acknowledge their presence. Step back. Imagine you're on top of a mountain looking down on your thoughts below. Next, adopt a curious mind about your thoughts. Try to observe your thoughts coming and going. Watch in your mind and ask, where did the thoughts come from? Where do they go? Notice that every thought you have ever had has both come into your mind and also left your mind. Notice your thoughts, but do not evaluate your thoughts. Let go of any judgments. Remember that you are not your thoughts. Do not necessarily act on a thought. Remind yourself that you have had thousands and thousands of thoughts in your life. All are gone. You are not gone. You are not your thoughts. Try not to block or suppress thoughts. Open yourself to the flow of thoughts. Do not try to get rid of the emotions that go along with the thoughts. Don't push them away. Don't judge or reject them. Be willing to have your thoughts. Trying to build a wall to keep thoughts, particularly worry and other disturbing thoughts, out of your mind always has the opposite effect of keeping thoughts coming back. Remember that the point of mindfulness is to become free, so that even distressing thoughts are not so disturbing. This takes a lot of practice, so be patient. Notice thoughts as they come into your mind. As a thought comes into your mind, say, "A thought has entered my mind." Label the thought as a thought, saying, "The thought," and describe the thought, "arose in my mind." As you notice thoughts in your mind, ask yourself, where did that thought come from? Then watch your mind to see if you can see where it came from. Step back from your mind as if you are on top of a mountain and your mind is just a boulder down below. Gaze at your mind, watching what thoughts come up when you are watching it. Come back into your mind before you stop. Close your eyes and scan your body for the first physical sensation that you notice. Then scan your mind for the first thought you notice. Shuttle back and forth between scanning for physical sensations and scanning for thoughts. Another time, replace scanning your body for physical sensations to scanning yourself for any emotional feelings. Then shuttle back and forth between an emotional feeling and a thought. The more you practice this, the more skillful you will become in observing and responding to your thoughts. You can also practice mindfulness of thoughts using words and voice tones. We can also choose to practice being mindful with our thoughts by verbalizing thoughts or beliefs out loud in different ways, using non-judgmental voice tone over and over and over. These mindfulness practices listed below can begin to put some distance between you and the distressing thought, and may dampen the power the distressing thoughts in the moment, leading to a wise state of mind. If you were to have the thought that "I'm weak," you can use the mindfulness practice of speaking the thought very, very slowly, just like this. I'm weak. You will want to pace out the thought at about a 1 syllable per second pace. If the thought of an apple came to mind, you could use mindfulness practice of speaking the thought very fast, like this. Apple, 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 apple. At some point, your mind notices that this is nothing other than sounds. You can ask yourself, I'm going to turn my life over to that thought? I'm going to let that run my life? Really? You can also practice mindfulness of thoughts by putting your thoughts into a song. For example, singing happy birthday to a thought, I'm a bad person. 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 Now, this practice is not intended to ridicule your mind. It is just to remind you that your mind is talking. This provides you with an opportunity to slow things down, get a little separation, and put some distance between you and said thought. What you do with it is up to you. Notice that you can base this on your values and what works in your particular situation. Now take a moment to relax your face and body while imagining accepting your thoughts as only thoughts. Remember, when it comes down to it, they are sensations generated in the brain. Imagine things you would do if you stopped believing everything you think. In looking at this chart, you see a number of emotions, action urges to those emotions, and opposite actions to those emotions. If we are experiencing sadness, we may have the emotion action urge to just stay at home and be alone. If we were to use our opposite action skills with sadness, you would be more active and be around others. If we were frustrated, we may have the emotion action urge to just give up. If we were to use our opposite action skills with being frustrated, we would try even harder. And if we were experiencing fear, we may have the emotion action urge to run away or even avoid completely. If we were to use our opposite action skills with fear, you would stay and do what is fearful and what gives you anxiety. Rehearse in your mind the things that you would do if you did not view your thoughts as facts. How would that change your daily life? Try to engage in many of those behaviors on a regular basis. For example, if your mind says, I don't deserve to be loved, or I can't be happy, then you can take away its power by acknowledging to yourself, there's that thought again, and stating, I see you, thought, but I'm not listening to you. And instead, I'm going to go out with my friends or on a date. Remind yourself, it is just a thought and it can't hurt you. Practice loving your thoughts as they go through your mind. Now, you might be asking yourself, what if the thought you are having fits the facts of the situation? Well, that's a great question. While some thoughts may not fit the facts, other thoughts may fit the facts and are justified. If you had the thought of, I am terrified, and you are in a cage with a tiger, it would not be wise to stay and face your fears by acting opposite or using the opposite action skill. In this case, our thoughts serve as a function to avoid something with true serious danger. Your emotion of fear is justified as the situation poses a threat to your life, your health, and your well-being. In this situation, fear is justified. The following exercises are commonly used to help notice and become more aware of your thoughts. When utilizing these mindfulness exercises, notice your thoughts coming and going without getting caught up in them, without getting into a conversation with them, not trying to control them, not getting tangled up with them, just noticing them and letting them go. If your thoughts stop, just imagine the scene presented until the next thought comes along. It doesn't matter if they are good or bad thoughts. If they stay around, just notice that and don't force the speed that they float away on. These exercises help us notice that our thoughts are always moving on, coming and going. With the leaves on the stream exercise, you can imagine that a leaf has dropped off a tree into the beautiful creek flowing by you. Each time a thought or image comes into your mind, imagine that it is written or pictured on the leaf floating by. Let each leaf go by, watching as it goes out of sight. With the conveyor belt mindfulness exercise, put each thought in a box labeled with the type of thought it is. For example, these could be worry thoughts, thoughts about my past, thoughts about my mother, planning what to do thoughts. Just keep observing and sorting thoughts into these labeled boxes during this exercise. In the thoughts in the sky exercise, if you were to imagine clouds in the sky, imagine and notice each thought cloud as it drifts by, letting it drift out of your mind. You can also imagine your thoughts are train cars going by. Try not to jump on the train and get carried away by your thoughts. The last mindfulness of thought exercise you can imagine. Through one door, thoughts come in, and through the other door, thoughts go out. Watch each thought with attention and curiosity until it leaves. Let go of any judgments. Let go of any analyzing thoughts and figuring out if they fit the facts. As the thought comes into your mind, say, "A thought has entered my mind." While practicing mindfulness is one of the many useful skills covered in DBT, I hope this has provided you with a good overview and better understanding of mindfulness practice of thoughts. While I encourage you to practice and incorporate mindfulness of thought in your daily life, there are many other DBT skills that can further assist you in managing interpersonal conflict, painful experiences, and distressing thoughts. While it's recommended to not rely solely on one skill when managing a crisis in DBT, working with your therapist or finding a therapist nearest you to build up core skills like radical acceptance, progressive muscle relaxation, and coping ahead, to name a few, is encouraged. I hope you have found some use in viewing this video, and I wish you the best on your journey of living your best life. Thanks for watching.